Hey everyone, Spot of Nerd here with a brand new episode from yours truly, and we've got some stuff we gotta talk about that is unsurprising, but at the same time, damn, just damn, and odds are I'm probably gonna get a lot of crap for this. Maybe some of you out there might agree with me, some of you might not give two shits, whatever it is, but the bottom line is we've just had the first 3 episodes from Amazon's The Boys, which, if you know me, if you know this channel, I feel The Boys is one of the greatest shows, the greatest comics that has ever been created. And with the first 3 episodes of season 4, lo and behold, I feel this is metaphorically like the Titanic. We've got a leak, we've got the cliche, the wokeness, we've got the politics and the agendas, and damn it, I was hesitant because I was expecting it to not do it, but lo and behold, specifically as well with recently we had the first season of Gen V, the spin-off series, that leak is now officially leaking into The Boys. So what does it all mean? It just means it's a convoluted mess is what it is. And I even mean that from the story. Like, obviously, if you're looking at the reviews so far, sure, they're okay. And I'm not saying that it's bad. Let's be very, very clear. I am not saying that these first 3 episodes are bad. But at the same time, you definitely know this is the start of its own downfall. Look at the audience score right now. I believe it's hovering around 85. Supposedly that is the lowest that this show has ever premiered at or been at. Now obviously 85 is still pretty damn good, hence why it's still a good show. But ultimately, every time a new season of The Boys comes out, usually that first episode is, no pun intended, mind-blowing.
I do. Thank you. You have 5 minutes to make your opening statement.
And it's incredible. There's some sort of sequence, there's some sort of scene that everybody's talking about. And ultimately, right now, this show has already been out for a day or so. The first 3, they usually launch the first 3 episodes of the season. Either nobody's talking about it, or it's really just not getting around much. And I really do think the reason for that is the story is completely on 30 different wavelengths. The wokeness, politics, and agendas are prominent, which we'll get into. And ultimately, I don't even think they know what they're, like, the producers, the writers, I don't think they know what to do with this show because they're focusing so much on the politics, on the agenda, that I don't really think they know what to do with this show. I really, really don't. And we'll go in on it with this episode. Hopefully you'll stick with me and hopefully you'll hear me out. But again, I just want to be clear. The Boys Season 4 is definitely not The Boys that we're used to. Now, the cliche stuff, broken record moments from Spot of Nerd. If you would be ever so kind, I would love you all so much if you haven't already, and there are many that haven't. Go ahead, hit the subscribe button right down below. Give me the thumbs up, share, like, the whole 9 yards. I would be eternally grateful. Especially too, go ahead and find me on Rumble. We're only gonna get bigger and better here, so huge thanks for all the love and support that those have already given, and I hope we only continue to expand in the future, but I can only do it with your help. But beside that, the way I kind of want to break this down is, specifically these first 3 episodes. I'll give you kind of the synopsis, I guess, as far as my interpretation of what we're trying to do here. And then, of course, we'll kind of explain the reasoning behind why I do feel there is a leak, why there is now a self-destruction, and ultimately I pray that it does redeem itself and it goes back to what we're used to. So, when we first got the trailer for season 4 of The Boys, again, it looked incredible. It looked amazing. And if you are an Amazon Prime member, you even got a further sneak peek, an extra trailer of sorts, if you might add. Again, just fucking amazing. It looked incredible. These first 3 episodes have been the most boring episodes I have ever seen from The Boys. The first episode, pretty okay, you know? It's a little bit more to go over in this episode. The story as far as seasons 1, 2, and 3. Pretty much what you need to know is Homelander killed an innocent bystander. He's now on trial. You have I forget what her name is, the gal that blows up people's heads. She is now incorporated into the politics side, into the Vought side. She's kind of almost playing multiple angles. And then you have new characters brought in on it. So you have Sage, this super intelligent human. You have Firecracker, which of course is the cliche, quote unquote, right-wing extremist. We'll get into that. And you have Butcher. You have Butcher and his crew trying ultimately to bring Vought down, along with Light, what's her face, Starlight, and it's going from there. So here's where things get complicated. Episode 1, they're on this mission, I guess, to try and... It goes to pieces. It fails miserably. You find out that her daughter, the gal that blows people's heads up, I'm just going to call her Blow Up Lady, her daughter is also a mutant, which we already know from the previous season because she's been giving the blue juice to her. She has these crazy tentacles. She kills off some of the, I guess, the support from Butcher's crew, and she escapes. But at the end of it, Butcher comes up to her and literally shoots her in the head and barely so much as causes a scratch. So that's an interesting motive as far as how are you going to kill this lady, because if she can't be killed with a direct bullet to her head, what the hell? At the same time, she's playing multiple angles. Clearly, she was right next to, what's his face, Huey. Nothing. She could have killed him right on the spot, but nothing happens. This is where it's getting weird right out of the gate. There's even an interaction between Homelander and Butcher. So obviously Butcher kind of pushed Homelander's kid away, even though Homelander's son, the mother, they were in love. She died. It's again, it's a lot to take in, but what I'm getting at really is you have the good guys, you have the bad guys in the same room, and then ultimately they want to kill each other, but they don't. I'm not understanding this. I really am not understanding what we're trying to do here, because that's the whole purpose. You're trying to bring down basically the superheroes, and you're trying to bring down the resistance like Butcher and Huey and Frenchie. But yet, when you're in the same rooms together, you don't do anything about it. So episode 1 really kind of it does focus more on the fact Homelander is proven not guilty in relation to the killing of the innocent person at the end of season 3, where everybody is literally giving him a round of applause. And it ultimately starts a riot between Starlight's people and Homelander's people. It's very staged, and it's interesting because Homelander being Homelander with the fast guy, again, terrible with names, the guy who runs fast. Noir is now dead from the previous season, but they've put him, there's like another guy in place that's just random, that talks too much. Very out of place character. Again, don't know. It's a lot of I don't understand what they're doing here to try and move the story along. And then you have the Deep. So Homelander commands them to basically kill innocent guys, and then they put them, like they sabotage this riot and make it look as if Starlighter people have innocently killed others during this riot. And that's where I feel that's where I feel the politics and the agendas are starting to kick in. Yes, this is all about politics and agendas. Here's the difference. Previous seasons, 1, 2, and 3, was actually related to the comic of The Boys. Now, a lot of this politics and agendas are in relation to today's world. Cliche. No shit, Sherlock. Obviously, they're trying to incorporate the fact that Homelander is today's right wing, Starlighters are today's left wing. You can imagine what they're trying to do, and it only gets worse in episode 2 and 3. So, finishing up episode 1 though, it's just like you have this riot, they're trying to, what, is that it? Oh, and then there's just a little piece of it too. Frenchie now has a romantic relationship with another gentleman completely out of nowhere, even though the entire series so far, 1, 2, and 3, have been, his entire story arc has been trying to get with the mute gal who doesn't die. What? To be very clear, I have no problem with it. You do you, I'll do me. You love your whoever you love, blah, blah, blah. But where is this coming from? I don't understand it. I'm trying to understand. There's so much more story you could tell from the comics themselves, but yet, once again, just like every other show on the fucking planet, you're self-destructing because you're just simply taking outside sources, agendas, politics, wokeness, and you're simply just putting it in the show just to put it in the show, as if you're trying to check a box. So then we move on to episode 2. Episode 2 is weird. And I mean weird by, so again, they're trying to find out the entire, like, what the plan of action is. Because even as an audience, as a viewer, you're still trying to figure out what the purpose of this season's going to be. Usually, like I've said, broken record, previous seasons, you kind of know what's ultimately what they're trying to do from some episode 1. You literally know how the season's going to go. This time round, we've had 3 episodes and I'm still trying to figure out what the fuck they're trying to do. So episode 2 starts out with quote-unquote Truth Con. It's basically a comic convention for conspiracy theorists, and I love it, and I'm being sarcastic here, because of course the camera is panning around this entire convention, showing about how the moon landing was fake, that, save the children from sex trafficking, a lot of just stuff that you see in your day-to-day real life that basically puts a stereotype on quote-unquote the right wing. Now, do I classify myself as a conspiracy theorist? Absolutely. But we also call ourselves truth seekers and fact seekers, because ultimately what you're being fed through the media right now is total and absolute bullshit. But we don't need to go on that right now because we're talking about The Boys. The sad truth is I have to bring this up because that's what The Boys is focusing on. So you have this scene where they're trying to find out more information about Sage, the smart gal. She is the only one right now that's willing to stand up to Homelander because, of course, everybody else is afraid of him. They're afraid they're going to die. So he recruits Smart Girl to be one of the 7. She is trying to recruit Firecracker so that they can, of course, win more points with the right wing, as they would say. And they're at this convention, and they break off into this random tangent. So Mute Girl gets drunk for some reason and sees a poster for, like, sex trafficking and gets all pissed off because all these conspiracy guys, these right-wing extremists, are focusing on their guns when they should be focusing on all the sex trafficking that's going on in the world. And that's where I just kind of go and I say, well, first off, it is a fact that that's true. There are, all jokes aside, there are more slaves today than there have ever been in human history. There are supposedly, from many resources of data, FBI, state, local, country, all the data in the world you can find, 42 plus million people are quote-unquote in slavery right now if you incorporate sex trafficking. It's a long story. I would encourage you to look it up because it's absolutely tragic, and they're focusing on that. They're really like, they're driving this down your throat, and the mute gal is trying to like do something about it by just killing people, and not purposely killing people, but you know, in this convention she's just kicking ass, and it's just so fucking random. I am trying literally to understand what the fuck they're trying to do here. So ultimately they find out Firecracker and the whole purpose of her, which is just trying to again bring more light and attention to all the right-wing conspiracy stuff. I even just talking about it, I'm still confused as fuck what they're trying to do. Then they have this they actually have this fight sequence with the multiplicity guy. It's really weird because they catch him in the sauna doing like a human centipede thing. Just, it's interesting. It's the boys. You kind of know how the boys does things, but it's just very odd. So there's this fight sequence, and that's it. There's just kind of a random over sex trafficking. Once again, you're left in this question mark of what are you trying to put? What are you bringing? I don't know. So we move along in the episode, and A-Train, that's his name, A-Train, the guy who moves fast. Apparently now he's trying to flip sides because he's now scared of Homelander, or he just wants to try and bring Vought down as well. So he provides evidence. Even though he's killed those 3 people that were in the first episode riot, he now is bringing evidence to Starlight to make the original people that got arrested from the Starlight people innocent. And he's almost trying to help out Butcher and the crew because he feels bad for what they're doing. As well, with all of this, Huey's dad is in the hospital because he recently had a stroke, and he meets his mother for the first time since he was 6 years old, because that's when she ran away. Another side story that doesn't really have any need for it to be here. Butcher is now talking to his dead ex-lover, who was Homelander's son, to try and figure out what he needs to do, because he's only got 6 months left to live because of the poisoning he's got from basically injecting himself with the blue superhero serum. Again. And that's pretty much it with episode 2. It's almost already we're getting a filler episode, because they don't know what to do other than focus solely on today's politics and today's agendas. I don't understand what you're trying to do here, Amazon, the boys, etc., writers, producers. You used to give us an amazing story with the boys. I don't think you have a clue what you want to do with this. I really don't. There's an official day now that they said, not an official day, but they did say officially they're going to end the boys with season 5. Quite frankly, I don't even know if it's going to get there to the point where people will be interested to watch. I really hope that this series, this season, turns itself around, because even in episode 3 now, quick synopsis on that, it's not really that much better. So episode 3 really is the entire premise: America bad, America bad. You can just tell that there's a lot of stereotypical, hypocritical, information or propaganda that they're just trying to push. You can just tell they really don't want America to succeed, even though, you know, Homelander's all about America, Firecracker, blah 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 blah. And it's this kind of fight between giving the rights to the heroes but taking away the rights to the heroes, making sure people are in control versus Vought. And everybody's like a double, triple agent. Like I said, the girl who blows people's brains up, she's kind of playing both sides. Sage is playing both sides. Huey and A-Train and Starlight, I don't think they have a clue what they're ultimately trying to do, because we still, even in episode 3, we haven't really established, I guess, a narrative of what we're trying to succeed with here as far as the season 4 story arc. We do get a little piece. So there's a meeting between Sage, the smart girl, Homelander, and the blow-up gal, and this is where finally we got a little piece of, okay, maybe this is how they want to go with it. So they meet at this stadium, and what Homelander is trying to suggest is, blow-up lady who's in politics, we need to get you into the presidency, though, so that you can make executive action that makes heroes in charge of everything. Almost like a military, to where they own and control people. Even in the first episode, you have Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who played Negan, partnering up with Butcher to basically say, we're afraid that these soups are going to put us in camps. Stuff like that. You can imagine where they're trying to go with it. But so that's where we get a little piece of, okay, I can see what you're trying to do here, and I can maybe understand why, how, if, when, where. But this is where it gets interesting. That specific scene has Huey up in the rafters listening in on the conversation. Now, Homelander and him must be, let's just say, even I'll give it on the long spectrum of 10 feet away. Huey is up in the rafters. Homelander, the other two gals, they're talking privately, and the only way Huey gets discovered is because he's sweating inside these vents, and a little drop of sweat lands on Homelander's shoulder. So of course Homelander smells and knows who Huey is. But here's where I get the kind of the bullshit of like, you're running out of ideas here, you're running out of story to write. Homelander is supposedly the strongest superhero that there is. Supposedly he can hear heartbeats and he can feel anxiety. He knows the presence of people. But yet when Huey's 10 feet away, he can't notice him or hear him or feel him at all until he sees the sweat drip down. Come on. That's where I'm getting a little bit of like the lazy vibe from the boys. This is getting very tragic, I guess is a word to use, because there used to be such better story writing with these guys, gals, whoever's writing this stuff. Right now, it just seems like you're being very lazy. You're simply trying to push agendas and politics from the real world into the show and avoiding at all costs the real story at hand. So yeah, that's really episode 3. That's it. There's a few little side stories. Again, we're trying to learn more about Frenchie and his lover. So he gets high as a kite, and then there's another random fight sequence. He's high as a kite, so instead of blood and gore, you're just seeing rubber duckies and stuff like that, as if he's on acid. Like the mute gal is, her face is, it's, huh? What are we doing here, people? Seriously. And the way episode 3 ends, I know I'm a broken record with this, but every time a new season of The Boys comes out, usually the episode 3 ending is this huge cliffhanger of, holy shit, I can't wait for next week. With this one, it's just, I guess we'll have another episode next week. Okay, like there's no real like cliffhanger. It's just, I guess we'll see you next week. It's almost like you're watching a late night show from a talk show host. Next week we'll have blah 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 on. Hope you'll come back. Okay, sure. Like I'm genuinely worried. I really am. I have to reiterate, 3rd, 4th, 5th time, 10th time. It is still quote unquote The Boys, but it's definitely missing a lot. It is really missing a lot. And quite frankly, if I were to put this down to a very simplistic review, The Boys season 4 right now is incredibly boring. It is, don't expect a lot. I really, if there was one thing I would caution you, do not get your expectations or hopes high. At least not yet. I pray to God, like I said, that this season turns itself around and gets it a hell of a lot better. But the story between Homelander trying to get his son on board, the story between Butcher dying and the crew is just weird. Frenchie, his lover, is odd in just a relation to where did this come from. Mute girl is sure. Starlight, what the hell are we doing with this? And then the only real kind of like exciting pieces to this, sure, there's a few sequences of action that, okay, there's some gore here and there, but that's about it. It's really, there's not much more to this season so far. So ultimately, let's hope it changes. I really do hope. And that's all I can say. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this wasn't too long, but I just needed to get across what to expect with season 4 of The Boys. It's a beloved show. It really is. It's something I've loved from the start, and it's a show that I started watching and then went and started reading the comics. So I would encourage you to check the comics out as well, because those tell a much better story. But ultimately, let's just cross our fingers, it does get better. But with all of that said, folks, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening if you're listening on the podcast. Until next time, we will see you guys next time. Later, y'all. Side note, The Acolyte, episode 3, is officially the death. Multiple broken record moments here. That shit is the death of Star Wars. There is no way they are recovering from that shit, episode 3. And it reminded me of something. So, in episode 3 of The Acolyte, you find out that it is two ladies of different species that have created two humans that are apparently the origins of the Jedi, the Force, etc., so on and so forth. Very odd scene if you've not seen it yet.
Power of one, the power of two, the power of many, the power of one, the power of two, the power of many.
Ultimately, it really reminded me, I swear I can put my finger on it, but what was it?
Right now, I feel. What do you feel? I feel Give it to them! What are they trying to take?
Yeah, it kinda seems similar, doesn't it? But yeah, this is just you can imagine what I feel about that with episode 3 from the Acolyte Star Wars. Yep. That's whew. Yeah.